here with Carol B. Crafts. Today I'm going to show you how to make this adorable Valentine's Day card. This is the first card in my online class, Sealed with Love, and I really think it's adorable. So let me tell you what you're going to need. You'll need you'll need your Sending Love paper pack. You'll need these 2 sheets of paper. 2 of these sheets. You'll need, from your materials kit, you'll need a regular Whisper White sheet of a regular basic black, real red, and then the thick Whisper White. You will also need, you will be using, from the Love Notes framelits, we'll be using this edgelet, the arrow with the fatter end, and the tiny little heart. And that's all of the dice we'll be using. From the stamps, I'll be using the Happy Valentine's Day, and I have that on my D block. And we'll be using the Love Note, and I have that on my C block. From your kit, you'll also need the 2 red hearts, the 2 medium white hearts and the 2 smaller red hearts, and they all have the number 1 on them to let you know that it's the first project that we're doing. You'll need some dimensionals, some glue, adhesive, snail adhesive, glue dots, your black ink. I use my Stampin' jig, and some scissors, tweezers, your piercing mat, and of course you'll need your trimmer, paper trimmer, and your scoring board, and your Big Shot. So let me get this all cleared away and we'll get started. Okay, the first thing we'll do is take our thick Whisper White and cut it in half. So we'll be 5.5 inches. So we'll be making 2 cards. Then we're going to do our real red cardstock, and we're going to cut that in half at 5.5. Then we're going to take one of the 5.5 pieces and we're going to turn it cut it at 2 5/8. Get it a little closer there. 2 5/8, and then another one at 2 5/8. Looks like I need a new blade. Then we're going to cut a piece that is 5/8 of an inch wide. Let me line that up really good here. Oops, it moved. Need to do it again. Let me do it on this side. 5/8 right here. We push down a little harder so that it doesn't move. Now we're going to take this piece and we're going to cut it at 2.5, and then 2.5 again. We need both those pieces since we're doing 2 cards. This part we're going to use for die cutting. Then we're going to cut our black in half as well, 5.5 inches. Then we're going to cut 2 pieces, 2 3/4 inches, and then another 2 3/4 inches. Then we're going to take our other big piece, and we're going to cut about 1/8 of an inch. Right here, that's about 1/8 of an inch. We're going to do one more because we're doing 2 cards. And it doesn't have to be exact. We just want a small strip of paper, and that's a little too thick, so I'm going to do it again here. Do another one. That one's much better. It's a little bit thinner than this one here. So we'll use this one. So now we have 2 of these. We'll put that with our 2 pieces of black, our 2 pieces of red, and 2 smaller pieces of red. And before I forget, we do need to cut another piece from the spare black. We need 1/2 an inch. Well, let's make it 5/8 of an inch. This is going to be for our arrows. So we'll put that with our big red piece, die cut for the hearts, die cut for the arrows, along with our pieces of paper for our card bases. Next we'll need we'll set these aside. Next we need our Whisper White, the regular Whisper White, and we're going to cut a strip of Whisper White 3/4 of an inch wide and 11 inches long. And this will be for our love notes. We'll be stamping love notes on this. So we'll set that aside as well. Now I know this is a lot of cutting, but it is worth it in the end. Okay, so now you need your 2 pieces of DSP, and we're going to cut first, and we want the lines to go from the bottom left to the top right. And so this is our top, and this is our bottom. So we're going to turn it so that our bottom we're going to 5.5 inches. So we're going to measure 5.5 inches and cut basically 1/2 an inch off the bottom. Then we're going to turn it clockwise, and we want to save this piece. We're going to cut this at 2.5. And we're going to cut another 2.5 for the second card. And then we'll set this piece aside. The other, we don't need this piece. So this piece is also, again, stripes beginning at the bottom left, going to the top right, and we're going to again cut off stuff. Well, this time we're not going to cut 1/2 inch off the bottom. First we're going to cut 3/4 of an inch. So we'll take it right here, 3/4 of an inch, and then another one 3/4 of an inch. And this is a spare, so we can set that aside. And so then we're going to take these and we're going to cut them at 5.5 inches. And then this one at 5.5 inches. And we'll put that with our other pieces. So now we have all of this. And the 1/2 an inch that we cut off from the bottom, we're going to need that as well. We're going to cut that at 2 3/8 inches. So that's over here, just shy of 2.5. 2 3/8. Okay, I think that's all the cutting that we have to do. Okay, next we're going to need our scoring board. We're going to score our bases for our card. We're going to score them at 4 1/4. And then we're going to score 4 1/4 for the second one. Okay, and then we're done with our scoring board. Okay, we've done a lot of cutting, so let's do an inventory of all our materials. The first materials we have were already cut for us. They were in our class materials. And I wanted to take a moment to tell you where those came from. They are from, in case you want to make more cards, they're from our Sweet and Sassy framelits. And this little heart is the smallest, no, second from the smallest. No, the smallest. The smallest in the kind of wide hearts. And that's the smallest. And then these two hearts, the white and the red, are from the 4th and 5th largest from the smallest. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And those are the regular size hearts. So I'm just telling you that so if you want to make more of these cards, you'll know where these hearts came from the Sweet and Sassy framelits dies. Let me put these away. Now the ones that we cut from the DSP that we used, we have 2 pieces that are 5 1/2 by 2 1/2, and then 2 pieces that are 5 1/2 by 3/4 of an inch. Yep, 3/4. We have 2 pieces. These we'll actually use on this side. These are 2 1/2 by 1/2. 1/2 by 2 3/8. No, 2 3/8. 2 3/8. Then we have a piece of our regular Whisper White, which is 3/4 by 11. We're going to use that for stamping, so we'll set that aside because we're going to do stamping next. Then we have, with our thick Whisper White, we have our 2 card bases scored at 4 1/4. From our basic black, we have 2 pieces, 5 1/2 by 2 3/4. We have one that's 5/8 by 5 1/2. And then 2 that are 1/8 of an inch wide by 8 1/2. With our real red, we have 2 pieces that are 5 1/2 by 2 7/8. 2 pieces that are 2 1/2 by 5/8. And then this was our leftover, which we're going to use for our die cutting of our little smaller hearts. Now we're going to do our stamping next, so we'll need our 2 card bases and that one strip that's 3/4 of an inch by 11. Now the 2 card bases, I like to do my stamping before I do my decorating in case I mess up on my stamping, which is exactly what I did. In my demo, I made a mistake and I had to put a little heart shape over my mistake. And that's a trick that you can use whenever you make a mistake stamping your inside sentiment. You can stamp on a separate piece of paper and cut out a shape and put over your mistake so that your whole card isn't just ruined. Let's go ahead and stamp our love notes first, because that's the easiest. So we'll need our piece of paper, 3/4 by 11, our stamp love notes, and our black ink, our basic black ink. And I'm using my piercing mat since these are photopolymer. And my ink pad is a little bit dry. I've ordered an ink refill, but it hasn't come yet. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp this in the middle of the paper. Center it in the middle. And then I'm going to do one more. And so there. And you want them about 3/4 of an inch apart. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp a few more since I'm stamping. I might use them later. But the reason I gave you a whole sheet, a whole 11 inches, is in case you mess up on one, you have more room to do more. But I think I'll be fine with those 3. Now to do our card bases, we're going to need to go ahead and do some placement of the inside. Now we're going to do the inside sentiment, and we're going to go ahead and just temporarily place our pieces of, this is our 3/4 by 5.5, and it's about 1/16 of an inch from the edge. And then we're going to put that up against it, and that'll give us an idea where we need to stamp our sentiment. We're not going to adhere that yet because in case we mess up and we have to redo our stamp, we won't have already applied that. But we just need to put it in place so we know where it is. And again, if I'm pushing on this a little hard, it's because my ink is dry. And I'm hoping that it's going to work out. So let me go ahead and stamp this down where I want it. Straight down. Hold it in place. And I'm going to put this in place just in case it doesn't make a good image and I have to re-stamp it. And, oh, that's pretty good. Thank goodness. Alright, so go ahead and do our other one. So we are done with our stamping. Next we're going to do our die cutting. So we'll need, for our bases, we're going to need our edgelet. For our hearts, we're going to need our larger piece of red, and we're going to need 24 hearts cut from this, and because we need 12 for each card. And then for our little arrow, we need our black, that's 5/8 by 5.5. We're going to cut our arrows from that. So let me get my Big Shot. Okay, I have my Big Shot. I'm going to use my magnetic platform, which is really good for what we're going to do. Then I have one of the acrylic plates. This is the one I've been using for cutting. And we're going to put, since this is our sentiment and it's the inside, we want to flip it down, face down, put it here, and take our edgelet die and put it 1/4 of an inch from the edge. And the magnetic platform will help keep it in place. So I center it on the ends here, so that's the same distance, and then I put it 1/4, about 1/4 of an inch from the edge. Okay. Okay, once we have it in place, we're going to put our plate there, our top plate, and then we're going to run it through the machine. And I find it easier to just use this to remove it. It helps to remove it. And then we'll do our other one. Okay, we have our 2 cards cut. And set them aside. Now we're going to do our little arrow. And this is our 5/8 by 5.5. And this will do 2 arrows. Now we're going to do our hearts, and we need to do 24 of those little hearts. And this is what your paper will look like after you've done your 24 hearts. I'm going to put my big shot away. Now we're ready to put our cards together. So I'm going to go ahead and fold our card here, both of our cards. Take my bone folder and gently crease the fold a little better. Okay. The first thing we're going to do is put our little hearts in place. And I have my hearts here in a container. These are the 24 hearts that we cut. I put these on with my glue dots. So basically I put 1 glue dot on each side of the heart, like this. 1, 2. And then I used my tweezers to put them in place. And I just put them over the edge, and I left a small amount of the white showing. So we'll need to do that on all the way down here, and then on the inside as well. So I just take 1 glue dot on one side, 1 glue dot on the other side, used my tweezers, put it in place, and leave just a small amount of white on the edge to frame it. Okay, so you'll need to do that for both of these. Okay, so I got the hearts on both sides of my cards, and for the rest of the video, I'm only going to show you how to put the one card together, and then you can repeat it for the second card. So we're going to do the front, and we need our red piece, our black piece, and our stripe piece. The first thing we're going to do is put our black piece onto our red piece. And I'm get the right adhesive. Don't need to use fast fuse for this. Now we're going to place this exactly even with this edge, the right edge. Exactly even with it. Like that. So we have just a little bit showing there. Next we're going to put this piece, and we want it even with the black, even amounts on both sides. So I'm going to put some adhesive on this, and because it's hard for me to line these up, I'm going to use a piece of strip from the waxy strip from the glue dots. With the curve up, I'm going to attach this, put that on there, and then that way I can move it around to where I want it, slightly above it. And when I get it where I want it, I can just push it down there and pull this away. Next, we're going to put this onto our card base, and we want this 1/8 of an inch from the edge. So again, I'm going to put it on my paper here, and so I want it 1/8 of an inch from the edge of the center here. Okay, next we want to do this part here, the red with the print. So we need to put our print, put my snail on the back, and we want to center our red, our print over the red with even amounts on both sides, on all edges. Next, we're going to get our love notes, and you can use scissors or your paper trimmer, depending on which you feel more comfortable using. And we're going to trim about 1/8 of an inch from where this little squiggly line stops, and we're going to cut it straight up. And then the same on the other side, about 1/8 of an inch from where the little squiggly line stops. We're going to put our adhesive at the top where it says Love Notes. We're going to put it across the top near that edge. And then we're going to put it on this, and we're going to leave about a 1/16 of an inch from the red, so make it even with the paper, and then you're also going to want to have it meet with the paper so that the paper is really not showing on the end there. Just have the red showing. And then we're going to put this on here. But before we do that, we should probably go ahead and assemble our heart. So we have our red heart and our white heart, and we're going to put our white on our red. And again, I'm going to use my paper, my waxy paper, to line that up. And then the little red heart, first I'm going to put this on with some glue dots. And I'm going to put my glue dot in the center of my heart there, and maybe another one right next to it. But I don't want to put it so that it's not going to be covered up by this. I think I'll put one more there. Alright, and then I'm just going to lay my arrow at an angle, kind of a 45-degree angle there. And then I'm going to put some glue dots on my heart again, one on each side of the heart, and then one on the bottom. Make sure it stays in there really well. And then again, I'll use my paper so that I can place this where I want it. And then we're going to put this all together. I'm going to go ahead and sort of temporarily place it so I can see where I want all of this to go before I pin it down. It looks like I want this heart up a little bit higher, maybe like an inch from the top, at an angle, turned at an angle. And then this one I want about an inch from the bottom. So let me go ahead and put that in place. Again, use my wax paper. And that's about where I want it, right there. And then I'm going to do the same with my heart. And it looks like I'm out of that, so I will use some fast fuse anyway, which is good because that means my heart will stay in place. And now I'm going to put this where it looks good. I like it right about there. Now all we have left is to do the inside, this part right here. So we have our strip. I'm going to use my, get my fast fuse back out. Use my wax paper again. Now we want this 1/16 of an inch from the edge. And that's about right there. And then this one we're going to use our glue, and we're going to put little tiny glue dots of glue, just basically touching your tip of your glue, not even squeezing that hard, not really even squeezing at all. Then once you get all your little glue dots there, you're going to take this piece and place it up against the red. Then you're going to take your scissors and trim off the excess. And now you have your card, and it's all ready to send to someone that you love. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my blog at Carol B Crafts, www.carolbcrafts.com. Bye now.